Hello there gamers, it's been at least 3 or 4 years since I've actually sat down and played Zetsubo no Shima at all, and I've never actually done the Easter egg without being carried through it by people who are much smarter than I am. And come to think of it, this is probably the first time that you guys have ever actually seen me doing an Easter egg, because I just really don't do them that often. I do stupid challenges and try to get to high rounds, but I never do Easter eggs on this channel. So if you guys want to see me do more of them, then please give me a like, I'd appreciate it, and subscribe, because yeah, I mean this is something new. I figured I would try, see if you guys like it. But part of the whole reason I'm doing this is because I talk about Zetsubo no Shima a lot, and it's not really ever very good. I talk a lot of shit about this map, but sometimes I feel like I've never really given it the time that it deserves to see if it's actually that bad. With that said, I'll be doing the entire Easter egg solo, and I'll be using a guide if I ever get stuck, but I'll mostly be trying to go off of my memory. And my initial grade for Zetsubo no Shima before playing it for this video is a D-, and we'll reevaluate at the end to see what it actually deserves in my eyes. So first order of business is opening some doors, checking our challenges, and they aren't too bad actually. No difficult plant-based ones is always a good thing in my books, and our first mystery box spin is the always noteworthy Brecci shotgun. I then did my first of the 4 skulls you need to complete in order to unlock the skull of non-Sapwe. Also, that's a really nice skull. If I ever had to cleanse a bloody skull with zombie souls during an apocalypse, then that's a skull I would totally cleanse, sorry. The power then got turned on because that's the only thing I'm capable of turning on in this world, and we entered the bunker finally. I then headed down for the real power switch, and I'm still not sure why this step was necessary, but I guess Zetsubo needed another water section. Juggernog was then purchased, and I almost shot out my organs because a zombie double swiped me while drinking it. Shout out to the 3-hit down system, by the way, because fuck, it is really nice to be able to survive an accidental windmill in the newer games. It was always beyond frustrating getting down right at the end of your setup or just before you're buying Juggernog in the older games. Anyway, back to your progress here. So we headed further into the bunker and swam like majestic dolphins to grab the plant needed to build the wonder weapon known as the KT4 and grab another handle piece to open Pack Punch. I have to say, throughout this game, I was surprised how much I actually remembered of Zetsubo no Shima, considering I haven't touched it in a few years. We finally grabbed the final Pack Punch piece though while I was talking and went out to find the plant had impaled a zombie, which is metal as fuck and I appreciate. And it would have been cooler if it didn't immediately get killed by the red dust that comes out of the little pod things, and we spent 3 rounds watering that plant for it not to kill a single zombie, and that's probably the worst trade deal in the history of trade deals maybe ever, but I guess I can't really change that. On round 10, I trapped a spider in a cage and extracted its venom, and low-key these things still freak me out because even though they're useful, I actually just hate spiders so much. They're probably one of my worst fears in the entire world. I then continued my efforts to finish the skull of non-Sapwe, and even though I failed a few times on this skull because I'm just a little bit stupid, there was a gas mask part that I accidentally found, so that's a win, I guess. On round 14, I finished that skull and used the fan trap to complete another one of the podium challenges, which will be needed later on in the Easter egg. The next round on 15, we finished up the last of our skulls, grabbed the rainbow water on my first try, and grabbed the skull of non-Sapwe itself. So all things considered, that's a really productive round, and it didn't even stop there because on round 16, I built the KT4, built the gas mask, and crafted the shield. In only a few short rounds, I went from having just the Brecci and a few perks to having most of the items on the map for Zetsubo no Shima, and things were actually going smoothly surprisingly. No downs so far, Shrek was operating, and I was just having a decent time actually. There's still way too many things to build and remember, but I wasn't miserable, and that's kind of a surprise going into this because I expected for this video to just be a rant about how bad this map is, but it's really not that bad actually. So after all that, I went and fought Dami Mommy Spider, who almost killed me, but we managed to get out alive. I then spent almost 5 minutes running around waiting for the lightning to strike my shield, even though I hadn't activated it yet, and this was the one time I needed to look at a guide so I wasn't waiting there forever. After feeling just a little bit stupid, I completed the last of my challenges to actually unlock the lightning strikes and open up the cage to grab another piece for upgrading that KT4. After mesmerizing the poster and unlocking the wall where the KT4 plant originally was, I put my seed into the earth for the second time this week and watered it. On round 20, I was finally able to grab the new plant and had all the pieces to upgrade my beautiful KT4 into the blue shampoo gun, aka the Masamune. This is also where I needed to rely more heavily on the Easter egg guides because I have no idea where the cog pieces are, and after looking it up, I used anywhere but here to get to an off-limits floor. But once I got there, I got immediately fucked by an entire horde of zombies because I had literally no idea they could even spawn in that area, and I barely got out with my life. That whole time, my ass was just tighter than a nun in church because I was genuinely afraid this whole time that, oh fuck, I'm gonna have to do this again, or I'm not gonna get enough for a video or anything like that. I was just so scared. But on that same round, this is also where I began planting seeds in order to try to get the flak bullet from them, which is actually way harder than it needs to be. Like, I'll be quite honest with that. Essentially, you need to take very good care of these plants and pray that you get lucky enough to be given the damn thing. My first batch of 3 plants yielded me an imprint plant somehow, and I'm not even sure how they work actually, and 2 pods which did not have the flak bullet in them, so now I needed to go another 4 rounds just to try to get it again. Which sucks because while waiting around, I took a down on round 27. I recovered again, but just barely once again. I'm getting so close to GGing every single time that I take it down. Then on round 29, I finally got the flak bullet, and I started the process on round 22 to get this thing, which is just kind of annoying. I mean, it took 7 rounds and whatever, but I do understand you could get early on and leave the plants and just not open them up to get it later, but I was just going off the guide's instruction because I forgot about this step entirely. Then it also said into me once I looked at the guide that if I missed this flak bullet shot, which I've never done before, to try to shoot down this B-53 bomber, I would have to wait at least another 4 rounds to get yet another flak bullet. Luckily, I did hit it on my first try, but then I spent 15 minutes looking for the cog piece that drops from it because, yeah, the guide didn't tell me that spot. I actually had to go and look at another guide from Avery. Also, shout out to the boy Avery. Anyway, I found it instantly once I had actually looked at his guide, and I felt really stupid because I felt like I should have seen that while wandering by it probably 10 or 15 times. Once that was over, we did the zipline step, which is always a heart-racing experience because the last time I tried this, I specifically remember it because it fully killed me even though I had quick revive. I got lucky again though because on only the second attempt I fucking did it, and we get thank God. I was so nervous for this step, and I was so excited that I had to take a few seconds to look around at the pretty scenery that actually surrounds this area. Why couldn't the rest of Zetsubo look at this? Because I mean, waterfalls and shit, they're actually really cool. Why couldn't we have this? But that luck I just mentioned ran out very quickly because I took a dumb down on round 31 while waiting to place the cogs into the elevator, and I had no more quick revives left, but I was running a single soda fountain. After a few spins of the gobblegum machine, I was finally able to get it, so I was able to run around the map, get a quick revive, and the rest of the perks that were available on Zetsubo. After we grabbed a new shield and a new gas mask, we were ready for the Zetsubo boss fight on round 35. I still have the Brecci and the Masamune from earlier, so yeah, this is going to be a little bit of an interesting boss fight, and I really did not feel prepared for this, I'll be honest. I've barely seen any of this boss fight, but after figuring it out fairly quickly because it's not very hard, all I had to do is just avoid getting throat fucked by Shrek. And throughout the entire boss fight, I did a pretty good job of that, except for at the very last moment on the last cycle of this boss fight, my worst fears were realized, and I took it down while there were a bunch of thrashers wandering around in the room very close to me. Pretty sure I had a miniature heart attack in here, but seconds after getting up, I was able to finish off this boss fight and watch the greatest Easter egg cutscene in the history of zombies. I will fight anyone that thinks that otherwise. The memories trailer that Takeo has and this cutscene are beautiful. So, was Zetsubo no Shima better than I remember it being? Well, yeah, actually. It's still not a map that I love and I'll go back to a lot, but I don't think it's a D- tier map where I had it placed before. It was genuinely one of my least favorite maps of all time before going into this. But after experiencing all this map has to offer, I'll give it a solid C grade. It's not a great and it's not a terrible map, and I will say I had a somewhat enjoyable time that was broken up by a bit of tediousness in the steps, and the thrashers always do kinda suck. But you should leave me your grades for Zetsubo no Shima if you played it in the comments below. While you're down there, leave me a like and subscribe. Now go watch this other video popping up on the screen because it's probably really fucking good.